Thanks to everyone who supported us over on Patreon. If you want to see more episodes and more extra content, you got to go to back for just $1 a month over at patreon.com/boardsandswords. Watch very closely now. 3, 2, 1. Bzow! Check that out.
We want the fun. Gotta have that fun.
Is it okay if it's okay if like when the bread touches the fries?
Do I really want to just stand still and cast a lightning bolt? No, I want to avoid you and shove a lightning bolt across.
I just crapped my alien pants. By the way, I just want to let you guys know.
You hate all of us, and we're fired.
I've released poison into the AC system. You all have about 5 minutes left to live.
So much news, like all this stuff to talk about.
No, there's been some stuff, but it was all boring.
You didn't go with C.
Well, you need to go with C.
And our friends, we combined.
You've told that story.
We combined. Have I told it on the podcast?
I'm pretty sure
you have.
told it.
Well, I'm telling it again.
Because I just realized as I was reading this that this game's already been done. They even made a show about it. It's called Yu-Gi-Oh! And go watch it.
This is Boards and Swords.
Hey out there, party people. Welcome to Boards and Swords. This is a podcast where we talk about bad jokes, good folks, and some gaming as well. I'm one of your hosts. My name's Chris Renshaw. On the other end of the line, we've got Mr. Philip Herbig. Hey, what's going on? Did you mean to do that?
Yes, I did.
Okay. See, we have so many glitches sometimes that I have to ask.
No, I knew what that one was.
And why is it frozen again? The stupid camera's frozen again. Stop it.
Have we ruled out EBCAC?
What?
EBCAC.
Do I want to know what that is?
Error between keyboard and chair.
Hey, you know what? It's possible, but considering that everything starts working when I unplug the camera, I think it's just yeah. Hoser 40K saying in the chat room, it's all frozen.
Doesn't like you.
Nope.
I don't like you either.
I need to move the cord so it's like right by my feet so I can just kind of like kick it.
My Discord has an ad for Reminiscence starring Hugh Jackman. In theaters and on HBO Max.
What was that?
My Discord has an ad for Reminiscence.
Gotcha.
It's a movie with Hugh Jackman in theaters and on HBO Max.
Ooh.
Yeah. Only available on the ad-free plan.
Nice. It's entirely possible that this cable has something to do with it, that's on, because it's on like a 50-foot Ethernet cable, or a 50-foot USB cable, because I thought that would be easier than a whole bunch.
And like 12 3-foot cables.
Yeah.
All daisy-chained together.
Yeah. Especially because this one's supposed to have like a power thing, but I've always had problems with it in the past. But we'll see. For every now and then, I just have to go and like unplug it and plug it back in. That's not how this is supposed to work at all. Okay. I
blame Chloe.
Yeah, probably.
There we go.
So I introduced you, right?
Who? Me?
Yeah, and you did.
Yeah, nobody cares about me.
Yeah, okay.
Wow, you don't have to agree that fast.
Yeah. All right. So let's just jump right into the news. We're already off track a little bit. And I got the news working again, so that we've got it back up on stream.
Right.
All right. So, what's a Pee Wee soccer coach's favorite website? Kickstarter. Get it? Because it's a Pee Wee soccer. So, like, you know. All right. Tabletop, we got from ICV2, tabletop games up 22% on Kickstarter in the first half of 2021. Remember when things were surging last year? And everybody's like, oh, this is I wonder what it's going to be like when things are, people are able to go out and game again. Well, apparently it didn't die down. Then,
Nope.
Tabletop game projects funded and money raised were both up 22% in the first half of 2021 behind growth in video game tie-ins, role-playing games and sequels, expansions, and reprints. This is after the 46% increase from the first half of 2020. So they raised $120 million. Okay, so yeah. We raised $120 million in the first half of 2020, and they raised $146 million in the first half of 2021.
Because we all got used to, staying in the house and not having to put pants on.
So some of the games that got the highest gross was the games that were based on video games, such as like The Witcher, Monster Hunter, and Stellaris. And then 5 RPG projects raised over $1 million. So The One Ring, Twisted Taverns, Ouroboros, Grim Hollow, and Coyote and Crow. And then the next big part was sequels, which is pretty popular, especially on Kickstarter, like Everdell, Zombicide, Root, Isle of Cats, Mad King Ludwig, etc., etc. And then there's also that the launch of new platform Game found some crowdfunding dollars that would have gone to Kickstarter were likely diverted, but probably not that much. We're talking like maybe a total of like $2 million. I think. I don't think a lot of stuff's been done on Game found yet.
I'm just looking at that one sentence we kind of skipped there. Projects raising between 10,000 and 1 million were down marginally.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. How is that? Like, so your like reporting brackets are 1 to 9,999, and then 10,000 to 1 million. Like, are those the two reporting brackets you have? I mean, come on, buddy.
I mean, there are other, it is kind of like. Those are kind of big milestones, though.
Well, yeah, there are big milestones.
Like,
I would have gone. So, like your 10,000, 100,000, 500,000.
Yeah,
I would have broken the milestones up a little bit more.
Yeah,
that's just a giant jump.
It is.
And like, how many things got lumped into that bracket?
But down a lot less than what was in previous years.
Yeah. Down marginally.
Well, and maybe it was a trend that they grouped, that they were seeing like overall a lot of dip, and it was just when you added the date. I mean, there's you can make,
so there could be more brackets in there.
There could be more brackets, but like there was a correlation between everything between those two numbers. I don't know. That's
34% for the year.
Yeah. That's for the full year 2020.
For full 2020. I mean,
yeah,
that's not bad.
That's not bad. Okay, so for next story, if you design running shoes, you should call yourself an architect. All right, why did you come out? I didn't want. There we go. There we go. All right, Antoine Bauza is coming out with a new Seven Wonders game. Seven Wonders Architects. People were thinking it might be like a new expansion or something for Seven Wonders, but they announced earlier this week that Repos Production is going to be making Seven Wonders Architects in Q4 2021 release, touting streamlined gameplay with easy to understand rules and true to life scale recreations of the world's wonders. There's very little details at this point, but there's a lot of stuff talking about how the designer's been doing a lot more gaming with like his family versus in game groups. So he wanted the game to reflect that. So it's a lot more supposed to be more family friendly and open. Which I've played Seven Wonders. I didn't think it was that unfamily friendly. Like it's a very simple. It's just drafting. Like that's most.
I don't know, man. If it's got easy to explain rules and you don't have to dive back into them 12 times every hour, I don't want to play
it. Otherwise known as me playing Warhammer last night.
Otherwise known as most games that are like giant boxes that we have on our shelves.
How's that rule work again? As I because there's like a dungeon down here where I keep all the guys that do all the rules.
Exactly.
That's why I was off camera. All right. Speaking of Warhammer, I was gone all day playing Warhammer yesterday, and when I got home, my cat Oscar wouldn't let me give him his loves. It was pretty petty of him. And that's the next from Portal Games. This came out. Petty Officers, Detective Petty Officers expansion available to pre-order from Portal Games. It is fuzzy animals that get added to the game. That's where the Petty Officers comes from.
Okay.
They get to pick.
I was wondering
They
because
get to
I saw
pick,
detective and petty officers. I
yeah.
was like, they're going to the Navy now. Is that
Yeah.
what they're doing?
They will get the pick of animal companions while still getting the job of solving crimes. Pets join the Antares investigative team. Sometimes everyone needs a break, even special agents, if they come home with a desperate need of a hug, especially if it's a hug from someone hairy with a damp nose and a wagging tail. But hugs aren't the only speciality. They can also solve a criminal investigation. You'll have Cleo the tabby, Ola the parrot, Texas the German shepherd, Betty the beagle, and albino ferret named Snowflake. The solving of many issues would be impossible without them. You use new pet tokens that allow you to reduce stress or use unique abilities such as looking for clue, intimidating, or bewitching suspects. But remember, every minute counts, and the culprit must be caught, ... and the pets need to be taken for a walk.
Chris, you already own this. It's Arcadia Quest.
Now, everything's got to have a pet expansion now. Which
Everything does.
I'm completely okay with that trend, especially after.
See, now I'm sitting here thinking about it. Like, okay, Star Trek Ascendancy, pets.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
We've got Spot the cat. We'll throw in some targs, some tribbles,
and then there was the Barkham horror thing we talked about last week.
Yep.
I never got around to talking about it on here, but I played Detective, and it was pretty cool experience. It's definitely very group dependent, but we've got like a very good co-op kind of group where we were all going together. Plus, it's great because there's a bunch of you look up information on like a website, and I threw it up on like the big TV here, so I would be like searching and then having it up on the big TV. Because you get clues in the game, and there's like a database basically on a website that has like a whole bunch of information, and you use that to kind of sort. It's a very escape roomy kind of modern crime kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely interesting. Also, if you look at one of the designers, Liz Spain, they did their signature to make it look like a cat. I don't know if that's how they normally do their signature or if it was just for this one, or I guess that could be a dog as well. Who knows? A four-legged furry animal. All right, moving on. This next game is down, but not Keyforge gotten. And that is another one bites the dust. Remember last week we were talking about Star Wars Armada? Well, this time Keyforge is officially going on hiatus.
Oh.
But not for the reason you might think. This one is a weird one. Because basically the game broke. The supply stuff behind it broke. I don't see the deck building algorithm for Keyforge is broken and needs to be rebuilt from the ground up. So the software that they used to generate all the pre-constructed decks, the randomized pre-constructed decks, that basically broke down and they can't use it anymore to make the deck. So like in this post, they show you the next set is going to be called Winds of Exchange. Like they said they've designed the next set is complete. The problem is they don't have the support software to like actually churn out the decks to get printed. And it's just, that's really weird to see. Like, how does a program just break like that?
Yeah, that's
The only thing I can think of is like it's just one of those quirks that like they went in and put in new, like you can do things a million times, but you put in some brand new piece of info and suddenly everything just craps the bed.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm assuming that's something around the lines of what happened. There were some rumors like in the post I saw the comments section of this, some people were wondering if maybe the program was licensed and the license ran out and they have to rebuild it themselves. That's kind of far-fetched because that's really soon for something like that. But
Yeah.
so it's just very weird. And so it's a game that is dear to all of our hearts. So in order to get a proper chance to shine again, we have decided to put the game on hiatus for the time being, with plans to relaunch the game with new life at a later date. Some may be wondering why we simply can't relaunch the game now. The answer is we simply do not currently have the capability or the ability to make new decks. Now, they were also talking about like they've not been able to do the right amount of Keyforge stuff because of the pandemic, because this is a very like in-store competitive style game.
Oh yeah, it's a face-to-face game.
Yeah.
And if like you can't be face-to-face, there's a bit of an issue.
Yeah. And so when the game relaunches, it's going to be like the same game. So like all existing decks, it says will still be valid and playable when the game relaunches. It adds a lot of new token content for the game. And they're saying that also they're hoping to launch a digital version of Keyforge, courtesy of their friends at Stainless Games, who did Duels of the Planeswalkers, which that was pretty legit. My star is like, cool, you should have done that from the beginning. Everybody that's played this is like, cool, it needs a digital version.
Yeah.
Hoser 40K.
Well, I mean, you know me, everything needs a digital version.
Right. Hoser 40K says always make sure to back up your important files.
No. You keep typing and keep typing and keep typing, and you never save until your computer dies and it's 5 a.m. and you have to be at school in 2 hours.
Yeah. That's how we do it, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't know.
All right. I threw this last one in here. I'm not sure how it's going to go, but if you made Bitcoin shirts, would they be NFTs?
Got it.
That is, CMON announces partnership with Monsoon to distribute NFTs. So I put this in here because it's very newsworthy and it's worth talking about. However, like I said, I have no idea how this is how our discussion here is gonna go, because everything out in the open. I know Philip has gotten into crypto a little bit recently, but I think NFTs are garbage and are pointless and stupid. So
so if
I said specifically NFTs,
my understanding of NFTs are if you took that on the air logo right there and then also put your face on it, and you could be like, boom, this is the Boards and Swords Chris's NFT.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean anything, because like you can have that photo anyways. It just means like, oh, but you know what it is? Like the best way that I've heard to explain NFTs, it's basically when you would get like a China set, and it would have something from like the Franklin Mint, and it would come with a certificate of authority.
The certificate of authenticity and the number. Yeah.
That's what an NFT is.
Only 3,000 of these are ever going to be made.
Yeah, because it's like you can have all these pictures. They're basically digital versions of those. Because it's like, you can have like a picture and an NFT of it, but other people can have the picture. It's just you've got the thing that says, well, I own it, or I own the paper that says I own it.
I have the thumb drive.
Yeah. So that's why I think they're stupid. So, and specifically, I'm not talking about like crypto as a currency. I'm talking specifically the NFT craze.
Oh yeah, because NFT is like recent,
yeah,
right?
This year kind of thing was when it started getting popular.
When people started giving a damn,
yeah, but like, and it's funny because anytime I've ever heard people like try to explain what they like good uses could be for, it's stuff that only matters if you're like rich. Like people are like, oh, there's this club where you have to have an NFT to be able to get it. Like the membership card is basically an NFT you buy.
Oh,
and it's like, oh, okay, cool. Let me go out on my yacht and find the money to go get into this stupid club. With that in mind,
unroll one of my rolls of toilet paper that's actually made out of $100 bills.
Yeah, exactly.
May 3rd, 2014 is when the man who first created one, Kevin McCoy.
Well, I'm not saying when it came out. I'm talking about like the popularity was mainly like the beginning of this year.
Yeah. Non-fungible token.
Yes.
So you can't put it on a pizza.
No fungi allowed.
Well, then that's annoying.
So all that in mind, in case you didn't know what an NFT was, this isn't specifically about never mind. I'm just reading the top of it. CMON Limited and Monsoon Digital announced a partnership to launch a brand new series of digital products and promotional material using Monsoon's soon-to-launch NFT trading platform. Slated to go live later this year, Monsoon will be the exclusive platform for CMON digital collectible items, cards, artwork, and games, the first offerings of which will aim to further build upon CMON's reputation as a leader and pioneer in the gaming industry. I'm just like, what is the freaking point? Like, the games piece is interesting, except for the fact that like these things get blown up in money, so it's going to be like 2 people own this thing, and
exactly.
and no one else is going to. But it's like there was another company that announced they were Van Ryder Games was doing something with NFTs, and there was just like a huge bunch of backroar where people didn't even. I think they ended up not doing it because there was a bunch of backroar because it was like, what's the point? But like, I feel like a company announcing that they're doing NFTs is them like just openly saying, hey, we want your money for nothing, to me nowadays. Because it's like, you know, it's like you're taking any, because like when I give you a product, let's say something that's worth money that goes up and down. Let's use a product that goes up and down in value, like a Pokemon card, right? So this is a product that, you know, depending on the time, you know, whether this was, you know, 4 years ago, not really worth a lot of money. Now, going out insane, you know? You still there?
Yep, I'm with you.
Okay. So we've got, but the key thing is while that, like, say the box of Pokemon cards is worth something, it's also still a good. Like, you can use it for something other than to buy and sell and to try and make money off of.
Uh-huh.
Like, there are people, and there's nothing wrong with that, like buying and selling to, you know, try and get a profit. But there's another point to the good besides the whole point of the good being to, you know, buy and sell. Yeah. Whereas with like a non-fungible token, like, especially when we're talking about when it comes to games, like somebody coming out with let's see what they say, NFT collectible item. So here it's going to be like, you can have the official CMON NFT. Cool, what can I do with it? Well, you can just own it and sell it. Can I display it? Yes, but everybody else can too. But you own it. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. Like, it's a thing that's designed only. It's a gaming company making an item that's only designed to be bought and sold. That just screams money grab to me. Am I alone in that?
You are not alone at all. So I clicked through. I found an article from The Verge, and it's like, what is an NFT? What does NFT stand for? Non-fungible token. It doesn't make it any clearer.
Yeah.
And they're going through and explaining, and so like I'm just like skimming through the article. It's like somebody paid $6.6 million for a video by Beeple.
Yeah. Just to say that they own it.
Yeah, but then the so the article, it's like it's kind of poking fun a lot of this stuff too, because the person found the video, and I'm fairly certain they're on a Mac or an Apple operating system device.
Yeah. Just
from the way the menu look. He's like, oh, sorry, I was busy right-clicking on the Beeple video and downloading the same file that person paid millions of dollars for.
Right. There's also some actual, if you do some digging, there's some actual technical problems with it as well, as the file that if you know anything about crypto, that it's all about, you know, the blockchain or whatever.
Yep.
Well, NFTs they have a certain location in the blockchain,
Yeah, they're
And-
part of Ethereum.
Yeah. The file that notes where it is on the blockchain, where that NFT is on the blockchain, is stored like on a server somewhere. So if that server ever crashes, there's no way to like identify where your piece of the blockchain is. Like it's just a .json file that's on a server somewhere.
Yeah, that's
Again, we're getting a little way technical here, but
you're getting a little technical, yeah. But I mean, still, it's an entire. I don't know. It's just a whole new way of getting money, and people are. I mean, $6.6 million for a video. that
right.
This guy also just downloaded.
Which is why, but it's the stock market. So it's like, why is the gaming? Why is that's all it basically is? Is just it's another type of stock market or a currency exchanging. It's people do that to make money, where you change the dollars to everything else to change it back to dollars, and you've ended up with more money than you started.
Oh yeah.
But it's just weird for. So I know those types of things exist. It's just weird for a gaming company to be like, we're gonna do it too, and it really makes me devalue her. Like, CMON's already been losing a lot of track recently. This is just like more digging the shovel. Like, here, you want a jackhammer to just dig a little deeper?
Break it up, that way you can dig it easier. There we go.
Yeah.
I mean, if they made like a one of a kind Arcadia Quest cat, would you buy it?
But like, to be an NFT, like it's not a physical good. That's where it's like, you know what I mean? Like it's the whole NFT part. Like, sure, if they're gonna be like, hey, pay us $100 and we'll make you a plastic figure of your cat for Arcadia Quest. Like that's like I've paid for a good and service. Like this, you know what I mean? I just don't understand in what world I would want to buy a gaming-related NFT, or anyone for that matter. I don't understand why anyone would want to. So, but then again, I have to caveat back to where this whole conversation is biased by the fact that I think NFTs are stupid. So you have to kind of take everything I say with underneath that bias. So if you don't think they're stupid, you're not going to listen to anything I say, which is why I said that up front. All right. Did we get that out of the way?
Huh? I'm sorry, you were talking?
Oh my gosh. So last Friday, this merge us right in. Last Friday, I got to play a game with like the cutest artwork ever. It's like Happy Little Dinosaurs, I think is what it's called. Look at this artwork. I was playing, my character was Nervous Rex. And it's by the people that do the Unstable Unicorns.
Okay.
Heather and Mike brought it, but it's basically you have all these types of what are they called? They're called catastrophes. I want to say it's like emotional catastrophe, physical catastrophe, and like social catastrophe or whatever. And you have to like navigate them. And then there's like a meteor that's all of them. And so you're trying to basically not die. But I just wanted to say that it was I don't know if I'd play the game that much because it's a very random fillery kind of game where it happened to be did you have the right cards at the right time sort of thing. But the artwork was gorgeous and so adorable. That like I'd buy posters of some of the artwork just to hang it up in my room.
Oh, there you go.
So, what about you, Philip? What have you been up to?
So much Destiny. Like so much Destiny. I'm even to the point. So so one of the things in Destiny, there is a so you have your light level, that's your power level.
Mm-hmm.
And they got a little smart in previous seasons. It used to jump like 50 points a season, and now they're like, hey, that's a lot. We're gonna make it jump 10 points a season.
Okay.
And so there's
Reminds me of when WoW went from 10 levels per to 5 up for each expansion.
For the new expansion, yeah. So they have there's like a world light level, which currently is 1320.
Mm-hmm.
So everything, basically every weapon or piece of armor or something that's dropping from enemies right now, is dropping at 1320 for me, because my my light level is above that. And in order to get up to the current maximum, which is 1330, I believe, you have to play missions that give you pinnacle gear. And so like that's what we've been working on, and I'm getting a little better. I'm not gonna lie.
Have you changed weapons yet?
No, hell no. I'm never taking that gun away. Now that they buffed it and I basically have infinite ammo all the time, hell yeah. The only time I ever change it is when if something calls for, if there's a bounty from the weaponsmith that's like submachine gun kills, well then I switch to this submachine gun called Risk Runner, and whenever you take arc damage, it just keeps refilling as you're firing. So that's actually truly unlimited ammo as long as you keep taking hits.
Nice.
Because my big auto rifle, I mean, I can go all night. I can go for a while, but I'll still need to reload. Because my armor doesn't keep up with the how fast I'm shooting.
I found the game, by the way, for those on video. That's the cover of the Happy Little Dinosaurs, and the caption underneath is "Smile, it's almost over."
Happy Little Dinosaurs. What we got right here? We're going to put a happy little dinosaur. We're going to put it right here.
And it's gone.
If you tell anyone about that dinosaur. No. But yeah, that's what we've been doing. There's actually a raid scheduled tonight. After we get off of here.
So if the episode just suddenly dies, it's because Philip left.
No, there's some leeway.
So
we're dealing with
the Patreon episode just suddenly dies.
we're dealing with people in Pacific time, so like they understand.
So they're still asleep.
Huh? No, I'm lucky bastards. They probably still are.
It's always weird. Like the one time I've been over to the Pacific, when you're used to like a time zone and the way things are scheduled, to go to a different time zone, and then it's like, yeah, football games are at like 8 a.m.
It's like, oh, crap.
So, Philip, I bet you can't guess what I've been up to the past 2 weeks.
Working on your hair.
So much Warhammer. Oh my God.
So much Warhammer.
But not even like the playing of the game, just so much paint. Like the past 2 weeks, I have spent practically all of my free time in that room over there painting minis. Because as I mentioned last time,
there's ventilation in there, right?
No.
Okay. All right.
Well, I mean, there's an AC vent, so there's air going in, and I leave the door open so the air gets out. So yes, there's ventilation.
Chris was gonna go to work.
So I had mentioned last time that I was finishing up the army, and I had to bust a move to get. It got done basically like the Friday before the Escalation League started. All right. But then I went to the Escalation League. And here, I'll throw up while we're here. So this is what I got. The first group of minis done. Here's some flyer dudes. And then I got like some sniper dudes. Afterwards, finding out that the army I played, they don't have any of these type of units anyways. That these are like a new type of Marine that the Space Marine that the army I play don't have. So just all in all, that these guys are basically fundamentally useless. But
the snipers or the jetpacks?
Both.
Okay.
I used the sniper. I used the jetpack dudes to basically represent a special weapon. So I'm like, okay, these are regular Space Marines. They just have a different weapon, just to show that they're different from the other Space Marines. But I put together the Friday before. I put together a team. I was like, I don't know this. I can make some. It was like, here's what I can kind of make up with the stuff I have. And I went and played, and I got my butt kicked. Like, I was playing against someone else who was also I think they were pretty new to it as well, but clearly had done more research and work than I had. And like round one of my forces is completely obliterated off the map, and by like the end of round 2 or 3, the game was pretty much over.
Ouch.
Yeah, this is like so we were playing like all in all, because I recorded it. All in all, it was like an hour and 30 minutes of playtime or recorded time, but probably only about like 30 to 45 minutes of actual playtime, because the rest of it was us just looking through and figuring out specific rules, because everybody's got like their faction specific stuff. Like, wait, when this interacts with this, what is that doing? How does that work again? So there was a lot of that, and then a lot of just kind of like speculating and be like, what if I had done this or this? But yeah, I got my butt kicked the first round. So fortunately, I knew that our local comic shop, which also carries game stuff, they were going to do some sort of Labor Day sale. So on Labor Day, they came out and said they were doing 20% off game stuff. And I was like, oh yeah, it's on now, boys. So let me see if I can. So I went and spent way more money than I should have, but I got myself what's called a Rhino. So it's a big, basically armored tank that's got a huge gun on top. And then I got myself a Terminator squad. So these are like more powerful, like, you know how beefy Space Marines look? Well, just imagine if they were more beefy.
All right.
Where they have like basically like the Space Marines you saw, they had like jetpacks. These guys would never have jetpacks because they're just that much like metal.
Oh.
But then I had to spend all this week painting that stuff so that I could have it for this coming Friday. But I also tried some new stuff. And then this is what those Terminators look like now. And these are probably like the sexiest minis I have ever painted. Like this is, I've got them up on screen. I just took these this morning.
You got like stuff on the base. And...
Yeah. So I put just some stuff on the base, but I tried this new technique that I looked online for, because they have, they're called Nemesis Force swords and like halberds. Like this dude's got a halberd, this dude's got a demon hammer. And so I was trying this new setup, and you can see it. So there's like a whole bunch of little like the colorations and like gradients kind of going on here. It's not perfect. It's not great because I didn't have the steadiest of hands. And so it didn't look like what they did at all. But I still think it looks, especially when you look at them from far away on a tabletop, they look great. When they're blown up here on screen, maybe not as much. Also, this one dude's got, you see here, he's got a flamethrower.
Oh, with the hammer?
No. Next to the hammer dude, he's got a flamethrower on there. Like my favorite effect is I painted the little lettering they have on their shoulders. Which, by the way, this reminds me the Death Watch dude and that Angels of Death thing, where he had like the black lettering. That's what these reminded me of. But this it's like if you look in, it'll say like faith and like bravery and stuff like that. But I painted it gold and then did like some inking, and it really made the letters pop out. And I was just like, yes. So here's like a zoom. I got a couple of like zoom in shots here for the people on stream. Yeah. So, all right, I'll get back to this picture. So I go up and play, all right? And I'm worried because it turns out that the person I'm playing, because they gave us the listings ahead of time in case you can't make it on Saturday, that you can organize the people or organize with people to play through the week. And I find out the group I'm playing is orcs, which they're all about like the horde, you know, like the raw numbers. Like this dude had a huge amount of minis, especially when I get there and
he's like unloading totes out of the back of his car.
Yeah. Like no joke, like I have 3 units I have 3 units. So in Warhammer, it's all broken down per unit. So it's like this number of figures is equal to this stat card kind of thing. My units consisted of 1 leader, that group of 5 Terminator armors, and then 5 regular Space Marines. That's my force at this point. Keep in mind, because we're playing at lower player counts and it's going to grow in size. With the same number of points as my units, he has like 2 squads of like 8 orcs each. He's got 3 or 4 groups of like little mini orc things. I don't know the names of any of these things, so don't So he's got like a whole bunch of like squads of mini orcs. He's got like his leader, who's also a sorcerer, and then he's got a freaking jet. Like a jet, which is funny because in this case, the model was an F-18 that he just glued parts on. Because the orcs are really funny if you get into looking into their lore, because basically, the orc, like they have like basically stuff that they scrabble together and make it work, and the only reason that their machinery works is because they believe it works.
Oh yeah, they've got some sort of magic built into their entire DNA and society. It's like they could pick up a pipe and be like, "It's a cannon," and yep, it's a cannon now.
Yeah, where they
works.
just like smash some parts together, and apparently in other games, like you could take models from other stuff from other units, and as long as you glued orc parts onto it, it's now an orc unit. Like, if you look at any of their... So they got the Imperial Knights, which are like the huge giant figures that cost like 200 at the smallest for 1 unit. If you look at the orc version, it just looks like a walking trash can. But, and the only, like, the rules we were playing technically were like, you needed to use Games Workshop stuff only. But he said he had the jet that it was playing. It just wasn't assembled yet. So that's why I didn't really pitch a fuss about it.
Yeah.
And that I'm a new player as well and barely got my stuff to the table. So, yeah, I think that's what Rusted Beetle says in the chat. Low-level psychic, latent psychic ability that makes the vehicles work. But... So I'm playing, like I just told you 11 units, 11 figures, 11 models on the table. This dude easily has like 25, and a jet flying around. All right. I get up to bat, and within the round 1, I've already knocked out like 1 to 2 units worth of my dudes. The Terminators were on point. Oh my gosh, they melted face. Like, I was doing like I won't get into the details because a lot of it you won't understand unless you play 40K, but I have a lot of special abilities that I do in some of the other phases, and I was able to like thin out the ranks a little bit, but then the Terminators would come in and they would just clean up. Like, I sent Philip a text. I don't know if you saw it, where
Yeah, you said like everyone got 1 experience point. The Terminators got 9.
Yeah, we're playing a narrative game, which this part's kind of cool. So it's like basically turns Warhammer into like an RPG kind of thing where your units level up. And they level up based on, like, you get points based on the number of units that kills. So for like every 2 or 3 units that unit kills, it'll get like an additional experience. Well, between getting like a point just for playing and surviving, and then all the mission bonuses, which went to the Terminators because they were like the MVP. Yeah, like everybody else just got 1 point for participating, and then the Terminators got freaking 9 experience. So it was crazy. Like, and it got, but it wasn't a slaughter in the sense that like I was just winning from beginning to end kind of thing. It was actually kind of balanced because, again, we're not trying to like kill each other. We're trying to score objectives. And I managed to like march my guys in there and like plow the road, basically killing thinning out the herd. But then like some of the units that were left were like his strongest stuff. And they came in and when the game was over, these 4 figures that I've got on screen now, that's all that was left of my army. But like the jet, that thing is just a monster of amount of hit points, and it's got like 3 different weapons on it. So it's a matter of like, I just need to try and survive through and just make sure I can like reroll some of my saves to make sure some people get through. But it was like the first, so we played the first 2 rounds. It was a 5-round game. The first 2 rounds were like all on my favor because I just came through and I'm just slaughtering, and all his guys have very short range weapons, so some of them aren't even anywhere near me. And then when it got to round 3, that's when like the herd had been thinned and everybody had moved in, and that's when it started to get more on his side because now he's just slowly whittling me away. Like I've got a decent number of armor, but he's got enough dudes that it's starting to whittle my units down. And then finally it came down to like this little lone figure that's off to the side here. That was basically determining, because you get points, even though that the points are based on where your units are and capturing objectives. He was going to get more points to win if he fully finished off 1 more unit, which this one little dude over here was the last guy in his unit. And
last man of his unit.
So the jet lit into that group and annihilated everybody, but I managed to make the last save that I needed for that one dude to survive. And so he didn't get the points for that kill. And then we didn't. Technically, there would have been a round 5, but we didn't play it because because he's flying a jet, it always has to keep moving. And he was basically going to be on the other side of the board, unable to hit me. And between the angles and where he was going to have to be. So it was like, as long as I survive through the end of round 4, I won. So I managed to pull out the victory, which was funny. So I had like one of the shortest games the first round to one of the longest games in into this round, because like we played for like at least like almost 3 hours on this tiny little battle, mainly because like he just had so many figures to like roll through.
Oh yeah.
Especially when your jet has like 3 different weapons you got to make 3 different attacks for.
Here, stand by, my cat's being an ass.
Uh-oh. Hey, Rusted Beetle. I saw you in the chat room. I was just in the middle of talking. Yeah, 3 hours for a combat control game. Oh, technically it was like 2 hours and 45, 2 hours and 30 minutes. Uh-oh, I'm being pinged here in the chat. So I'm probably going to have to wait 30 seconds before it comes up and responds. Oh, maybe he's just saying hey, because I said hey. So, in the meantime, while Philip's away, I will say also, I managed to... I played, like, last night, played a bunch of Warhammer, and then this morning, I played some Marvel Champions and managed to get this nice Green Goblin playmat. Very nice. Very nice here. And got a...
Champions! What?
Yeah, I got a bunch of promos and stuff. So I guess you're back now?
I am back now. Yeah, my door was closed.
It was funny, like, by the time we were finished, like, throughout the course of us playing, people finished their games, and then we're starting, like, bonus games just to play, because
oh, nice.
that's how fast the other players were playing. But I'm playing this week. I'm playing against someone who went 2-0 so far,
All right.
and I know has, like, a really specific unit that he knows a lot about as far as his army, so like I'm really scared to play. But so that's that. Oh, just before we get into kind of like our third segment here, I will say I got a bunch of interesting stuff in the mail today, this week. So I mentioned how I got like this cool the Green Goblin playmat with I got a bunch of promo stuff because we were playing the event deck. The new D&D book, I got that. I think it releases this upcoming week. The Wild Beyond the Witchlight. It says it's a Feywild adventure, which is really cool. Once again, the special editions of these books looking really awesome. I think that's a Displacer Beast on the front, is what that's supposed to be. So just reminding me, D&D once reminding me again that I need to get a move on and actually, I'm so far behind in the books. I'm always at least one book behind, sometimes even two. And I got to really get a move on and get those reviewed and get caught up. I'd like to actually be caught up for once when a book comes out. And then I got this box. All right. So I got this like flat box, and the way that about the size of this box, I was like, okay, this is about the size of a book, because it was addressed to me, and the way it was I thought the address looked familiar that it was being sent from. So I'm like, well, maybe it's because I knew these books were coming out soon. So I was like, maybe it's the D&D books because it's about the size of like a book. And I open it up.
The MacBook.
I open it up, and it says Dungeons and Dragons and Nerds. Which, I mean, yes. But it's apparently D&D went and did this thing with the nerds fell out and hit the keyboard. They hit the keypad that changes the camera. So they went and did a promotion with nerds. So like right here, I've got a Dungeons and Dragons Nerds gummy clusters, sweet and gummy inside, and like they've got like a little. It's got like a mimic eating a bunch of like nerds, like a nerds rope kind of looking thing. And yeah, so if you buy any Nerds products, any participating Nerds products by March 31st, 2022, and you snap a photo with your receipt and upload it to nerdscandy.com/D&D, you get 6 mini adventures leading to one ultimate D&D adventure, which I'm assuming is also what's in this little packet that's right here. And Rusty Beetle brought this up in the chat because I posted this in the Discord, and I based on the timeline, you remember Wendy's did that D&D game?
Yes.
Or that I wonder if if this started because of that. They're like, D&D's like, well, we need to do a promotion. Let's do something, or maybe Nerds approach them or something. That I'm wondering if like this was a spin out as of that, because this probably took a while to develop. So yeah, I've got so if you look here, if I open up this thing, it's a bunch. There's one D20. So yeah, Rusted Beetle noted there is a D20 in the box. It's a D&D branded. Ooh, it looked black to me, but now I held it up to the lights I've got here, and it's actually a little bit of a transparent gray.
Okay.
So that's kind of cool. I don't even think it shows up on camera. It still kind of just looks black. But it's a large. It's about twice, maybe like 1.5 times the normal size of a D20. And then here's another box. This is like your regular Nerds candy. There's like a branded D&D candy rainbow, Dungeons and Dragons. Oh, smoke. Yeah, Rusty Beetle mentions it's a smoke color. But so I'm assuming this is the actual like adventure stuff that you get. It's called Restoring Harmony, the Candy Mountain Caper, which as soon as I saw that and shared it with Ashley, she's like, we're going to Candy Mountain, Charlie. I think this is and I quickly kind of breezed through this. So it comes with 7 adventures in here, it says, but it's 6 first-level mini adventures for a solo player, and then 1 longer adventure for multiple player. So they're kind of building into that sort of like, hey, pandemic solo play thing.
Okay.
And that's kind of interesting that it's a solo play thing. So maybe it's more of like a narrative adventure kind of thing.
Yeah, so 6 heroes get their origin story, and then they all meet up to become the Avengers.
Yeah. But it also includes a character, which is Pink. Pink is I think it said he was a rogue. Yeah, because he's like...
Pink looks like a Koopa sorcerer.
He does, but it's like a nerd. It's just they gave a nerd a little a little character sheet. So he's a Pink. He's a rogue. He's a level 1 rogue. So he's got an armor class of 14. He's got 9 hit points. He's got a +3 initiative. That's pretty awesome.
Pretty good at level 1.
Yeah.
Who
You know-
takes improved initiative?
This guy, apparently Pink does. Now you have to put together a group and call them the Apple Dumpling Gang to play through it. Yeah, it's a nerd. Yeah, it's a nerd in a cloak. And by that I mean like the nerd. It's a nerd candy in a cloak. So between, but the good news is I also happen to have that Rick and Morty D&D thing, the Dungeons and Dragons and Rick and Morty box set that I got that, and then just never had a group that I could play it with, like because we were always in the middle of other games. Right. So between that and between this nerds thing, I think I proposed to Chloe and her best friend that we start play them through some of these D&D things, and they said they were interested, but then again, if we actually ever get around to playing, that's a whole different conversation. But the interest has been piqued. That's like step number 1.
It is.
So keep an eye out for Nerds D&D. That seems kind of up. I think the camera just died again. Oh, but it reconnected. Okay, it reconnected.
Yay.
I saw the little notification when a new USB thing connects. Yeah. So, I mean, if you like nerds, I mean, there's no reason to buy this if you hate nerds, obviously. But if you like nerds, keep an eye out for D&D nerds, because you could take a picture and get a cool little adventure that you can play by yourself. Or if you've got kids, maybe you run your kid through it and get them interested in D&D.
I think the only proper name for the gaming group, if you're playing the nerds D&D, is Lambda Lambda Lambda.
And you just have to have like the sound clip of what's his face going, nerds.
Yep.
So yeah, that was all right. So with that, we'll say that thanks to everyone that has supported us on Patreon, and I will say thank you, and that everybody else should go join us for $1 because you get access to extra episodes. I will apologize. I still haven't gotten out the Patreon episode from last week because, see earlier when I said I've been doing nothing but painting. You're welcome that I at least got the episode out, all right? That was a struggle enough in itself. But the Patreon episode should go out tomorrow, if you're listening to this live. If you're listening to us on the podcast, you've already heard it probably. But all you got to do, $1 a month, patreon.com/boardsandswords, and you get access to that extra stuff. I'm sure Philip and I will be talking about some what if stuff because there's been a couple of good episodes. I've been watching Star Trek Picard. There's all sorts
of. How you liking
it? We'll talk about it in a minute.
Okay.
Don't spoil it now.
Turns out he hates it.
Huh?
Sorry.
What?
Nothing. Your hair looks nice.
My hair looks nice. So, you threw me off. But yeah, there's other higher tiers, but don't feel obliged to do that. I appreciate everyone that does, but really, $1 a month, that's just basically saying that you get at least 50 cents worth of enjoyment out of this episode, which I feel like is the appropriate amount of valuation of our content, right? We are worth 2 nickels, a nickel for each of us. Or not nickel, quarter. I'm messed up there.
No, you heard it there first, people. We're worth nickels.
Well, I have a nickel allergy, so. But yeah,
I have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice.
And with that, we will, yeah, we'll get. My brain just hit factory. My brain just hit factory reset there for a second. All right. So for the last section of the show, just because I wanted to sit down, and sometimes Philip and I would have this conversation with others outside of the show, but I was like, let's just have it during the show and just kind of talk about what we thought. It's not exactly, but we're coming upon the year of us doing this by ourselves thing. and it's time to
Yeah,
take
we are.
stock and kind of see where we're at. So, Philip, what have you how have you been feeling this year?
Well, like I said earlier, I'm not dead yet.
Well, I'm not talking about the year in general. I'm talking about like the podcast.
Okay, gotcha. I'm happy. I have control of my mute button. This is great
Okay.
because I just almost hacked up a lung. Y'all had no idea.
I was about to say, like, I also have control of your mute button too.
So yeah, I'm happy with what we're doing. We've had a couple of guests randomly. I mean,
That
we had
is
Corey
so.
just recently.
I will
We
say,
talked with some
Yep,
talked with
go
a
ahead.
couple game developers. That was fun.
Yep. I will say that is something that we did and we were pretty good about, and then I kind of just dropped the ball. And the thing about getting guests is you have to ask them, and especially
Which
when
involves like talking to them.
yeah, especially this when we got into like springtime and it was kind of sporadic of when we were having episodes because there was like other stuff got in the way. That it was just like, I'm just not going to ask anybody because who knows if we're actually going to have a show on that date. But now that we've kind of gotten back on a pretty consistent schedule, I've already got some guests interested. I don't have definite dates yet of when they appeal, but I've at least got 2 people willing to come on, or 2 separate groups of people willing to come on the show in the future to talk about different things. So that's going to be coming back.
They haven't listened to the show beforehand, have they?
We might be in trouble.
Yeah, we might be in trouble.
I will say, so some people might be wondering because, for instance, we've got, Philip's been talking a lot about, Destiny and video games and such. And like, I've been getting into like Warhammer and stuff. And earlier in the year, it was Yu-Gi-Oh! And earlier before that, it was something else. I will say this is kind of like the overarching point that I've developed over the past year is this show will never be about like where you want to come to get your hardcore in-depth review of a specific game.
Unless it's Destiny.
No, not even that. Like, not even that. Like, I don't want people to come here and to be like, I want the in-depth analysis of, the next WoW expansion. I'm not even saying that. In my head, where I want this show to go is, number one, I've always wanted it to be more about entertaining people than it is to be about, like, anything. Yeah, that's a good point. Anything. Like, I don't want this to be like every other board game show. It's like, oh, we're going to talk about what we've been playing, and then we're going to sit down and have a detailed discussion of all the, we're going to talk for an hour about this one specific game, mainly because I can't get Philip to play the same game. But, and I will, hats and full cards on the table. When we had Colin and Cindy here, that's kind of nothing. This isn't, I'm not saying anything bad, but that is something that we kind of like disagreed is probably the best way to say it. Cause it wasn't like butted heads, but it was just 2 different mindsets of how we wanted to approach the show, where they were thinking in terms of more of like your standard board game content, where they wanted to perform, valid, thoughtful reviews of the games that they had been being sent, which I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm just saying that was what they were seeing out of the show. Whereas I've always been wanting to keep things on the lighter side, and that was for a reason. And, like I've had some people be like, oh, you need to get Philip to play more games. And I'm like, I honestly kind of like having Philip as a stand-in for the person that doesn't know a whole lot about board games.
The 100%, like,
the everyman, if you will.
Who the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, so that when I start getting into a bunch of slang, Philip can reel me back and be like, I'm sorry, what game is that again?
Yeah. Who? Designer? Who? What else has he done?
Yeah, exactly. Me. Rusty Beetle says, Renshaw, I want invalid and thoughtlessness. You're not wrong. But yeah, at least for the past little bit, I want the show to be more about entertaining people that happens to be gaming themed than I do to want it to be a board game show.
Oh yeah.
So, so that's the thing. When we get to things like Destiny and talking about Warhammer and Yu-Gi-Oh and things like that, I want it to be to where even if you don't like those things, that you're still finding some enjoyment for it. Like, you may not give two craps about Yu-Gi-Oh, but there's a piece of that of finding something in collectible card games like that where you can buy and organize them and collect them. There's an aspect about that when you're not being able to play them, and that's like how you're getting your gaming fix in, that I'm hoping is relating to other people. That story, of how I'm connecting with a game to kind of get me through this sort of solo time, When I talk about like spending all hours of the night painting, there's people that can relate to that story.
Oh, there are definitely. I was actually going to ask about that. So, like, do you? So your minis have to be put together.
Yes.
And then there are some people who are like
so
Nickel,
if you play in tournaments, the rule is 3 colors. Your minis have to have at least 3 different colors on them for them to be in a tournament. Like this is if you go to like Nova Open in a tournament. Most of the time, when you're playing at a store, especially if it's a casual environment, they don't care. There are some things where they'll give you like an extra bonus point per se, like in a narrative battle, you get like a point for having a painted army.
Okay.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And even like I was talking with one of the people in the store talking about how I've been busting my butt getting them. He's like, you didn't actually have to have them fully painted. And then the person next to him's like, she was like, yeah, but the dice roll better when the army's painted. And I'm like, see, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay, because that's where my question was going. Because like you had said like your Marines had jetpacks, and you're like, my guys don't actually have jetpacks.
And like Jose 40 says, your armies need to be WYSIWYG. That also depends largely on where you're playing. Like our store says that they need to be WYSIWYG. But I asked one of the guys, because I was like, I don't have a lot of units. I've only bought a little thing. Can I say that this guy has this gun?
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, that's fine. They just don't want you to be like, actually, this guy has these 3 weapons, and this guy has those 4 weapons, but they all look completely identical.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's kind of where our store is at as far as when it comes to WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. There are some places and even tournament that's like, if that guy doesn't have that weapon on him and painted, you cannot use those weapon stats.
But he's my guy with the chainsaw sword. Come on, man.
No, I don't see any, and that's where a lot of times you see people that just sell bits. That's why they do that, so that people can like, I need to find this chainsaw gun so that I can just glue it onto him, and he's got that weapon. But yeah, that's the point. The thing is, I'm kind of liking the bringing stories and just kind of like tales of gaming per se to the podcast. Like, you may not give a crap about video games, but hearing stories like Philip last time talking about him trying to cheat and ending up boosting up the enemy's units, that's funny crap right there. And that's just I don't care who you are.
Okay, here you are.
That's fun right there.
I have a new plan. I have a new plan for that now. I'm gonna leave all the build times for the units exactly the same, but I'm gonna dump their cost back down to like 1 of whatever material they have. So it'll still take 10 minutes to build the damn thing, but I can build other things at the same time.
Yeah. So there you go. Philip's planning new ways of cheating.
That's right. It's a solo game.
Yeah. And it's I have to keep reminding myself also that because like every now and then I'll take peeks at our numbers, and you have to be like, oh well, maybe have they been going down because people just don't like the way that we've done things recently. And it's hard to say because we also usually have like a build up. People, you have so many people that listen to an episode when it first comes out, and then there's the tail end where the longer it's out there, the more listens it'll get. So it's hard to judge that.
Yeah.
But I will say, then it hit me. Oh yeah, nobody's driving to work, so people are listening to less and less podcasts.
Yeah.
I have to keep reminding myself of that. Also, just the fact of I suck at promoting, so I've always had trouble growing the podcast. I'm lucky for every single one of you listening right here, just because, we've been doing this for a while, and you'd think with the level of professionalism that we have on this show.
I mean, we have an on the air sign. How much more?
I know,
professional can we
right?
get?
And honestly, you know what? When compared to some people's streams, if you go back and let me scroll through or let me replay the opening intro video, and our streams don't look that bad, except for that first one, that first clip of me like talking about 3, 2, 1 bazow. That one's pretty rough, but the rest of that's some good quality effort there.
Yeah, we tried.
Compared to a lot of people, when you see like there are not knocking on small town productions, like there are certain large board gaming groups that when you hear their audio, it is garbage, and they have Kickstarters to support their stuff. And here I am doing this on a measly Patreon, and even that's a dime in the bucket. Okay, let's try. Okay, should be back now. But yeah, the Rusted Beetle's like the first videos up on the channel are toy reviews, right? Yeah, that was back when Chloe and I were doing Action Figure Friday reviews, which I still pull up and show to her just to have her cringe. But yeah, there's like, if you look in the board game, especially like the past 2 years, especially with COVID and stuff, you've seen the board game industry, like a lot of things have dropped. Nope, we're still going to be here, even if it's just a few of us people listening, because we have a history of doing it at least. We
have an established.
Yeah. Philip, it's been called different things, but Philip and I have been doing this show pretty much at least every other week for the past 10 years.
At least.
Before he was on Boards and Swords, it was every week. But
yeah.
So, there's been peaks and valleys of was that content have any quality? But
it could be a lesson to other people of hey, see those two guys? Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we were just an example of what not to do.
Exactly. Which was why I was always so mad I couldn't be like a formal teacher helper in school. Okay, see that guy? Don't be like him.
Don't do that. So other ideas I've had is, and you've been seeing some of it, like having a full-on third segment. Sometimes in the past couple of months, there was kind of that talking about gaming, and then it's just like, all right, we're done. But I would like to bring back that third segment. Specifically if we're going to have like a discussion with someone, especially if we have like a guest on, I do want to bring back, even if it's just Philip, having some sort of game show. Do you remember when we did that? You remember back on the previous show, I would have you do the D&D Mad Libs?
Yes.
There's no reason I can't bring that back.
Nope.
But I was thinking it also might be fun to do them as board game rule books. Just take various rule books, and I'll just strip out strip out some of the words, and then we'll replace them with Mad Lib style content.
Yeah, there we go.
But
hey, we have an active chat. We can get them in on it too.
Yeah. Well, The downside is then there'd be 30 seconds of just like sitting here waiting for the next answer.
Yeah.
We just need to have them just start spitting nouns and adjectives and stuff in the chat, and then we'll just pick
and we'll just pick and choose what we like.
Yeah, exactly. I will say suggestions, especially we've got a couple of active people. If people have got like suggestions of specifically games that would work in a 2-player kind of environment, specifically audio, I don't like to tailor because we definitely have more people that listen to the audio than we do watching on stream or watching on YouTube. So everything's got to be tailored to the audio, and that's why even like the pictures that I showed up here on stream, I'll probably a lot of the times I'll cut out that audio on the podcast because you don't want to hear 5 minutes of me going, look at this picture, look at this picture. So
we're gonna play Connect 4.
So there's that, and then that had me thinking about something else, but I don't remember now.
It happens.
Yeah. Oh, Rusted Beetle says
Oh, there we
another
go.
idea. List the word types you need in a Google Doc and have people fill it out during the week, then post a new one at the end of the next show. You know what's a great way to organize that? That reminds me of the point I was going to bring up, and that is I have not talked about it in a while except for an occasional mention, but people need to go boardsandswords.com/Slack. I set it up. All you have to do is do that. You'll be auto-invited into our Slack channel. That is a great place for us to organize stuff like that, because then you get notified whenever I've got stuff coming out, whenever the stream starts, whenever podcasts go up. But besides all that, it's also just fun stuff to just talk about different things. Like I posted the picture of the D&D nerd stuff, and just seeing people be like, oh, yeah, Rusted Beetle brought up the D&D dice that Arby's made. There's a minis channel where you can see pictures of the minis that I've been painting, and I had like progress shots of like how I was getting to each different like layer of paint kind of thing. Yeah, Rusted Beetle saying where it's Slack. Rusted Beetle's probably the only person that posts in Slack more than I do. Especially if you ever want to know what RPGs are coming out in Bundle of Holding, the Slack is a great place to find that out.
Yep.
And then just general board game chat. I'll ask questions about what people are playing. It's great. And if you want to help us improve the show, that is probably, even if you like, that's higher than Patreon right there. Like the people in the Slack, that's like the top tier fans, because those are like the people like continually interacting with us and giving us feedback and information. Like I appreciate money and I love all those people that support us. But sometimes just that interaction support theirs, it can be because, not everybody's got money. But if you've got time, you can go chill out and hang out with us on the Slack. What do you got, Philip? I did a lot of talking. What are you thinking?
That's a loaded question. Yeah, I mean, just interaction, suggestions of stuff to do. Yeah, you're right with that. I mean, we think of a lot of stuff, but then sometimes we miss.
Yeah.
I mean,
lot.
We miss a lot, yeah. And so, it's always helpful to be like, what do the people want?
Yeah. And we did today. There was
are we willing to give it to them?
There was some people, like a couple of people were like, I'm not a real fan of the Yu-Gi-Oh talk. But finding
Yu-Gi-Oh talk.
Yeah.
What's that? What's that other board game you got, Chris?
Huh?
What's that Yu-Gi-Oh the board game?
You mean just the Ankh. I was talking about
Yes.
Ankh.
No, the other one. The one with the little stacks of money you had to like tape together.
Oh, Millennium Blades.
Yes.
That's over here too on that
There
same
we go.
shelf.
We'll talk about Millennium Blades. I mean, we're not talking about Yu-Gi-Oh. We're talking about Millennium Blades. What are you
No,
guys
we just
talking
talk about Yu-Gi-Oh in the bonus episodes. But that we're
There we
talking
go.
about the
Yeah.
anime. So, I think that's all I got tonight. Strip Gloomhaven, Rusted Beetle says. How does that work? Because it's a competitive game, or it's not a competitive game.
about?
I don't know. Actually, I don't know if I want to.
Does Gloomhaven have a sanity aspect?
No, but like you can die. So maybe
Okay.
when you die,
Do you have health?
yes,
Okay, there you go. Every time you lose a health point,
take
Take
a
off
bite of
some
my
of your
clone. when your armor gets damaged, you have to literally damage your clothing.
Exactly. You know, from now on, I am not referring to them as clothes. They are my armor.
I mean, when you're not wrong.
Yeah,